Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to our live session of Critical English. My name is Monique Sarius and I'll be here with Alicia for this afternoon, and we will be doing some light revision on one of our literary devices today. We've done a few before. If you had joined us earlier in the year, when we started, we were talking about similes, metaphors. Do you remember any of the other devices that we did, Alicia?
We talked about onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia, correct.
And persuasive
techniques?
Yeah.
So persuasive techniques, there are some literary devices that comes under that. So you can have a simile that can be used in a persuasive way. There's also a literary device where it's like an unliving thing, having human qualities. Do you remember that one? Which one is that? It starts with P. It sounds like a person, but it's not person. What's the word?
It's prose.
Personification. Remember that one? Yes. So we did that. Do you remember any of the others that we did?
We did one that has like the words that begins with B and then like it continues on and then
so like groups of matching words next to each other. So if it begins with B, another word begins with B, and it sort of goes on like that. So that one is called alliteration. So it's when the consonant sound is repeated. And there's another one where the not the consonant, the vowel sound is repeated. So sometimes it's an A sound being repeated, and angry ant would be an example of that. So that would be assonance. So there are different types of literary devices, and the one we will be looking at today is also one. It is called allusion. Have you heard that word before? Yes? You want to tell me what you think it means?
Similar to...
It begins with A too, right? A lot of them began with A, so allusion. I think we can also break it down to allude. Someone is alluding to someone or something else.
Using words to describe.
Well, definitely it's described. Let me give you an example. So sometimes it's raining and it's raining really heavily, and some people might make a comment like, did you guys see anyone building a boat and taking animals into the boat? What are they talking about?
They're talking about...
It's raining a lot, and they're asking if you've seen a guy building a really big boat and if he's taking animals onto the boat.
What they're trying to say...
Who is that man that they're referring to?
They're referring to...
It's a story based on the Bible, but which one of them? So you know the story of Noah and the ark? Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. So when it's raining heavily and someone says, hey, have you seen a guy building a really big boat, and is he taking animals on it? What are they saying then? Why are they making that connection to rain?
They're saying that rain is about to start falling very heavy.
And there might be a flood. So if there's a flood, then you need to get shelter, right? And in that story, the entire world was flooded. So for you to live, you had to go on that ark, that boat, right? So if someone is alluding to the story with Noah and the ark, right, then basically what's happening there is that they're telling you to think about this situation and think of the other situation. So they're making a comparison, really, right? So they're saying that this situation is similar to what happened back then. So that's an example of allusion. Probably not the best example if you don't have a biblical background, if you didn't grow up reading the Bible and so forth. So not everyone is going to get it, but who is going to get it? The persons who maybe have gone to Sunday school in the past, or have gone to church, or have read the Bible. They would understand what this example means, correct? All right. So let's go to look at some other examples, and then we're going to try to come up with a definition of this literary device. So we're going to look at the first one on the screen there. His smile is like kryptonite to me. And in brackets, it says what? Superman's weakness. So have you heard about the word kryptonite before? No. Have you seen the movie with Superman? Not really. So apparently Superman is an alien and he came from out of space, and he's very, very strong and he flies. But the thing that makes him weak, or that takes all his power away, is this green stone that's called kryptonite. So only the kryptonite can make him weak, and if you put it in front of him, you can beat him up because you'll be stronger than him then. So here is saying his smile is like kryptonite to me. It's like saying this person's smile is my weakness. So whenever they smile, it's like you're just you will do anything for them, and nothing can stop you from helping them or doing things for them or so forth, or loving them even, right? So kryptonite, you may not get it if you're not a fan of Superman. So only someone who knows about Superman or knows about those movies will get it right away. There's even a song about kryptonite and so forth and so on. Let's look at the other one. She felt like she had a golden ticket. And the golden ticket is in italics. You see that? It's a different kind of writing. So you call that kind of writing italics. And what's the reference though? What is the literary text that it came from?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
You've probably seen the movie before? No?
No.
Have you, well, you haven't seen the movie, so you haven't read the book either. But she felt like she had a golden ticket. It basically means like you're so lucky that you got the golden ticket, because you don't really get golden tickets that often. So when you get it, it's like something really, really special. So only someone who has seen the movie will understand this reference as well. Let's look at the other one there. The guy is young, scrappy, and hungry. Hamilton. Do you know the reference? No, I don't. I don't know this particular one. So let's go to the other one. I wish I could just click my heels. So which part of it is the italics? Which part of it got the different kind of writing?
The Wizard of Oz.
That's actually in brackets. But if you look at a sentence, which part of the sentence, which words are written kind of like slanted? Click my heels, right? So that's the reference we're talking about. So that particular part is a reference from the Wizard of Oz. Do you remember that one? This girl with the shoe and she's walking on the golden road. No? Okay, so those are 4 things you need to go and read up on after this class, right? So Wizard of Oz, if you had to choose one of those, you probably should. I'm going to try to convince you to choose Wizard of Oz. I think you may like the story. So this girl has on heels, and when she clicks her heels, something magical happens. So you won't get it unless you have seen Wizard of Oz. So let's go to the other examples and see what they are. I am pretty sure you know this one. So look at the bracket part first. It's about, or where was this reference taken from? Cinderella. Do you know the Cinderella story? All right, tell me the Cinderella story in one sentence.
Cinderella, her stepsisters and her mother didn't like her.
They didn't like her. That's one sentence. That's it? They didn't like her, and what happened with the party thing?
Oh.
She got to go to the party, but what?
But her stepsisters then saw her, and she ran away.
She had to get home by a certain time?
18.
You think so? Oh my gosh. When last have you seen this movie, Alicia?
A while ago.
10 years ago? Okay, so if she doesn't get home by midnight, then the dress that her fairy godmother gave her is going to disappear, and the rags that she was wearing will show, and she will no longer look fancy as she was looking in her heels and so forth. So let's look at the sentence now. If I'm not home by midnight, my car might turn into a pumpkin. So remember, she had some rats that turned into horses, and the carriage that was taking her was actually a pumpkin. You forgot this part. Okay, so basically what they're saying here is if I don't get home by midnight, then my car might turn into a pumpkin, because Cinderella had a curfew to get home to. So you're in a similar position like Cinderella, like things are going to go really bad if you don't get home by a certain time. So the reference there, my car might turn into a pumpkin, doesn't mean your car is actually going to turn into a pumpkin. You're just talking, you're making reference to which story? Cinderella's story. Let's go to the other one. Do you know this one? What do we have in brackets?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. Do you know this one?
Yes.
All right, let me hear. What do you know of it?
I can't really.
But you know the name, right?
Yes.
So she is lost like Alice. So if you're lost, that means you can't find your way back home. And in this particular book and movie, Alice was lost and she couldn't find her way back home, and she was with a bunch of imaginary animals and cards and so forth. So if you're lost like Alice, then you are really, really, really lost. But this is also a bit like simile, where you're comparing two things. You're comparing somebody to Alice, but all the reference part with the Alice is referencing to a movie or to a literary text. So let's go to the other one. His job is like pulling a sword out of a stone. Have you ever heard that saying before? Have you ever seen the movie or read the book? Have you ever seen that one, King Arthur legend? No? Okay, so this particular one here, there's a stone and there is a sword stuck in the stone, and only the strongest person can pull it, and if you pull the stone from it, you become king. So everybody's trying to pull it, but nobody can pull it except King Arthur. So I'm sure you've heard of it somewhere. So his job is like pulling a sword out of a stone. So pretty much it means that it's difficult and nobody else can do it. So if I say you're the only you being a student is like pulling a sword out of a stone, it means that you're the only student who can do this particular task and nobody else can do it. They can try, but they can't do it. Can anyone cook like your mom? No. Mom's food always tastes the best, right? Good. Nobody else can cook like your mom. So it's something like that. Nobody else can pull the sword out of the stone. Nobody else has the power. Nobody else can or has the ability. All right, let's go to the other one. I'm pretty sure you know this one, or you've seen a photo of this guy before. What does he look like? What does he look like in photos, this guy, Albert Einstein?
He has this very rough hair.
Exactly, rough hair. And the photos are usually black and white, right?
Yeah.
Because back then they hadn't invented colored as well, color photos, so it was always in black and white. So it was this, forgive me for saying this on screen, but crazy looking guy with hair all over the place, right? So, is there an Einstein in your physics class? So usually physics is seen as an easy or difficult subject? Difficult subject. So if there's an Einstein in your class, then there is somebody who is very... What was he known for?
He was known for his discovering
things. Let's just put it that way. He was a scientist. He was very brilliant. So his level of intelligence was like way up here. So he could probably be here and we would both look dumb to him, right? So he was really good and bright and brilliant, so forth. And so if there's an Einstein in your class, in your physics class, then there is somebody who is really smart, really brilliant, right? And probably a scientist as well. So the reference to Einstein is not to a book here. It's not to a movie, but to a person, a very popular person. Very good. Look at the next one there. Have you read Harry Potter? Have you seen the movies? No? Oh my gosh. All right. Well, those who are looking on screen, you may have seen the movies or you may have read the books. We can argue later about which one is better, the books or the movies. So my math teacher is He Who Must Not Be Named. So in this particular book series, there's this bad guy, like his name is Voldemort, but you can't call his name because if you call his name, something bad will happen. So you gotta call him He Who Must Not Be Named. So whenever they're talking about this character in the book or the TV series, the movie, then they would say he who must not be named, so nothing bad happens, or he doesn't just like suddenly appear, so something like that, right? Because he's very powerful, so something bad can happen if you call his name. So my math teacher is he who must not be named. So if Voldemort is a bad guy in the book and you're calling your math teacher he who must not be named, do they like their math teacher? They see their math teacher as somebody who is bad, right?
Yeah.
Good. So the reference though, so don't think about that part of it, but think about the reference. They're referencing this book or this movie, and they're making comparisons with their math teacher. Got that part, right?
Yeah.
So even though you don't know these references that are being made, you can understand the connection that is coming there. But only if you've read it, then you'll be able to pick it up right away. All right, let's go to some others. You probably know this person. In brackets? How do you say her name?
Beyonce.
Beyonce. Do you know any song that she sang?
I think so.
You think so? Name one. I'm putting you on the spot today, huh? Okay, so maybe during the holidays when you don't have school, you have some assignments. You have to catch up on pop culture. You have to catch up on who are these popular singers, who are these scientists, what books we're talking about. So after this class, I'm going to give you a list of some things you should check up on the internet afterwards, right? Good. So Beyonce, at least you know who she is. So the sentence reads, I want to sound like Queen Bee. So who are they referring to when they say Queen Bee?
Beyonce.
Beyonce. And Beyonce's fans are usually called what? If she is the Queen Bee, what do you have with the Queen Bee? No? Okay, so do bees live by themselves?
No.
So what do you call that collection of bees? Begins with H, four-letter word. Or the place that they live in, you can call it that. What is that called?
This.
H, four-letter words, and it begins with H. Hive? No? I was trying to give you the answer. Okay, yes. So I want to sound like Queen Bee, and Queen Bee as in both B because her name is Beyonce, it begins with a B, but also because she is like a leader. So she has a lot of followers and they call themselves the Bee Hive, or the Hive sometimes. They're her fans, and if anyone says anything bad about her, like they will go on the internet and tell them back a bunch of bad things and so forth, right? And sometimes they're very nice too. So let's go to the other one. So in this example here as well, the reference that is being made is not a book, it's not a movie, it's a popular person, it's a celebrity. So the celebrity we did just now was Albert Einstein, the scientist, and now this popular person is a celebrity, or a singer you can call her. Let's go to the next one. Do you know Shakespeare?
Yeah.
You know Shakespeare, okay. Do you know the play Julius Caesar? You've heard of it maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, some kids or some students were studying it a few years ago for their English B CSEC examinations. Anyway, today might be the Ides of March. So the part there that you see in italics, it's in reference to the play Julius Caesar. Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. Good. So if you haven't read the book or you haven't seen the play, then you wouldn't know what we're talking about. Right? So let's go to the other one. Now may be a good time to sit in my thinking chair. The reference there is? And I'm guessing you've never heard of these two? Yeah? Okay. Well, you can imagine what they're talking about there, right? A thinking chair. If you're sitting in the chair, then you're... You know, some people say like they're like, you have your thinking hat on, or you have your happy hat on, or you have your creative hat on or something. So when you put on the hat, it becomes like your personality sort of. Probably it's something like this, because I'm also not familiar with Blue's Clues. So after this class, I may have to go check that out as well. So don't feel too bad that you don't know what we're talking about. You can always learn, right? Never too old to learn. All right, let's have the other one. I'm pretty sure you know this one. My fingers are crossed. You know this one. What's it? What's the reference?
Batman.
All right, tell me about Batman, since this is one that you know. What is he? What does he do? Blah, blah, blah. What does his costume look like?
His costume has like, it's, I think I remember that it's blue.
It's a bat blue?
No.
So,
It's black.
black.
And then it
Has a little
a
bat symbol here that has which color next to it?
yellow.
Yellow. Something can look like gold as well. And he has two pointy ears there. Does he have a cape? Cape is that long thing that they wear here. Yeah? No? Yeah, he has a cape. When he has a costume on. And he has a fancy car too. Is that the one that transforms into a bike? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is the one that transforms into a bike. So he fights crime basically, right? He's a vigilante. And if he sees something bad happening, he doesn't wait for the police to come. He goes and he beats up the bad guy. And then he calls the police afterwards, but he doesn't kill them. So let's see what this example here is. I have a cape crusader costume. So cape is that long thing I was talking about. It looks like a jacket, but it flows. So when Superman is flying, you see that cape thing. When Batman is flying, you see that cape. Think of a graduation gown. Have you seen a graduation gown before? That thing that flows to the back. It looks like a dress or a long skirt coming down. Good, that's a cape. So a cape crusader costume. So a crusader is somebody who pretty much goes out and kills people. So, but he doesn't kill people. But if you say you have a cape crusader costume, you're talking, and I don't think it just refers to Batman, because Superman also has a cape. There are other cartoon characters that have capes as well. So I suppose maybe it's reference to just him or just to other superheroes as well. Let's have a look at the other one. Have you seen this one before, Friends? The show, the sitcom Friends? Sitcom is like a funny thing. So you look at it and then people do funny things and you laugh afterwards. You know that, Friends? That's alright. So you have more homework to do, right?
Yeah.
So Friends is a show. What do you think it's about? A show about what? Or who?
A show about you.
Look at the name. Look at the name. It's a show about who?
About friends.
Exactly. Show about friends who live together, whatever, right? So the question there is, does it count if we were on a break and we were on a break that's taken from Friends? And you're probably not at that age as yet where you would understand what this is talking about here. So let's just put it this way. So let's say there's this guy and this girl who are in a relationship together, and then they break up. They're on break. So they're no longer boyfriend or girlfriend. So if this one talks to this other girl and gets into a relationship with this other girl, should this other girl be mad? Are they in a relationship? No. So if he goes and gets another girlfriend, should this one be mad? No, because they're on break, right? Good. So that's what they're talking about. Does it count if we're on a break? So like if we're on a break, does it mean that you can go and get a new girlfriend, or does it mean you can go and get a new boyfriend or something like that? So it's along those lines. So I'm not sure if you have reached that age as yet in adolescence where, all these things happen. Or you've seen it happen before, right? But probably haven't gone through it yourself. All right, let's look at the other one. Elvis Presley, do you know who he is?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm screaming internally. Okay, so he's a singer, and he died, but he was like really good. So people look up to him, and sometimes he's called the king, as you're seeing there. I'm listening to the king. So like how we were saying Beyonce is called Queen Bee, people call her a queen. So this guy was called the king. There was also a guy I think called Queen as well. Yeah, but yeah, he was called the king. I'm listening to the king. If you say that, then the reference is Elvis Presley. But let's say you're speaking to a 9-year-old or an 8-year-old who have seen Lion King. If they talk about the king, then the king could be in reference to who?
To the
The lion. Who's the Lion King?
No.
You've seen this one, right? All right. So we have Simba. Who was his dad?
His dad.
Mufasa. And who was his uncle? Scar.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about listening to the king, remember his dad died early, right? So then he had to become king. So if you're talking to like a little child who have seen the Lion King, then to them, king might mean Simba or Mufasa. If you talk to an adult who is like in their 40s or 50s, if you say the king, they might think it's Elvis Presley. So it comes back. So these words are not only used for these instances, but the whole point of all of this is that these examples then, or these references in everyday conversation, goes back to books, movies, or celebrities. So we even talked about Noah and the Ark when we first started, right? So allusion is when you are giving hints about a story that somebody is familiar with. So if you're not familiar with any of these, you would never get the illusion I am making. But if it's somebody who have seen all these movies or read all these books, then the minute I say it, they will already know what I'm talking about, right? Can you think of an example to give me, and let's see if I can get it? All right, go ahead. You have 1 minute to do it before we have showtime up.
Your gown is as bright as your gown is as sparkling as Elsa's.
As Elsa's?
Yeah.
Oh, my gown is as sparkling as Elsa's. So because I have seen the movie Frozen, I know you're referring to Elsa, the Ice Queen, I think she's called. Good. So my gown looks sparkly like hers. So yes, I get it. What about this one? The guy who melts when fire comes on, and he says, "You're worth melting for." If I tell somebody that, who am I speaking of? From that same movie.
Oh.
Exactly. See? So it's not hard to do. You just have to know your references. So you have some homework to do for me, right? And while this is probably the most fun homework you'll ever get, right? Watching movies and reading some books that you like. So yes, allusion is a literary device, and it's used to make a point sometimes. It's also used to give context into a situation. So instead of saying like this or I believe this, you just refer to something cool, like a book, like a movie, like a popular person, and I can easily be persuaded if you talk about a book that I like. So sometimes it's used for persuasion, but it can also be used for information purposes as well, or just having cool conversations with people. So thank you so much for joining today. We're going to have our last session on Thursday, and we're going to be doing a little review of everything we have done so far. And one thing we will focus on Thursday is errors in sentences. So errors or mistakes. Well, errors are different from mistakes, but pretty much mistakes that people easily make. Let's just put it that way, and I'll clarify more of that on Thursday. I'll see you, and be good to yourself. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, students. Good afternoon, Alicia. How are you this afternoon?
I'm okay.
And I am Miss Stewart for this afternoon for you for mathematics. So this afternoon, what we are going to be doing, we're going to be using a lot of manipulations with the blocks, and you have some dice, so that when we're going through our exercise, we will doing a lot of hands-on, right? So a lot of things you will be involving for the lessons for today. Great?
Yeah.
Good. So let's go to our screen. So let's read what you're seeing.
Multiple factor, multiple factor, factor, multiple factor.
Okay, so a lot of factors and a lot of multiples, right?
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be looking at multiples versus factors, or if you want to say factors versus multiples, right?
Yeah.
So let's continue. So we have there 3 is a factor of 24. So you notice the arrow is leaving 3 and it's pointing at 24.
Yeah.
And then at 24, we can read from 24, 24 is a multiple of 3. Right?
Yeah.
Because we're leaving 24 and we're going to 3. But at this point, do we know what are factors and multiples?
Yes.
You do? You're smart. Let me hear what are factors and multiples.
Factors are numbers that can be divided by another number, and then that can go into that can be divided by another number equally. And then multiples are numbers of another number which when you multi.
All right, go try. Go try though. So what you're going to do? Let's read it. Read it for us.
Multiple is a number that can be divided by another number a certain number of times without a remainder.
Good. So let's stop it there. So the multiple is a number that can be divided by another number, but for a certain number of times without leaving a remainder, right? So, for instance, the blocks, we're going to be using the blocks to show the amount of times, the numbers that you can get out of a particular number equally without any number standing by itself, right? Or any uneven group. So each group will have the same amount of numbers when we get into that, right? Let's look at factors.
A factor is one of 2 or more numbers that divides a given number without a remainder.
Great. So that number is 2 or more numbers that can divide a certain number without leaving a remainder, right? So as if we go back to 3 is a factor of 24. So that means as 3 being the factor of 24, 3 is a number that we can get out of 24, right? So let's go. Take 24 blocks. Count out 24.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
Okay, check it back in. Check it back quickly. Can loose it up. Good. And what you actually did, You notice what you did?
Yeah.
What you did?
I divided it up equally into groups of trees.
Trees. Great. So yes, we're dealing with tree. So you divide it equally into groups of three. So 24 blocks we had all together, and you actually divided it equally up into groups of trees. How many trees do you have there?
8.
We have 8 trees. So we know that. Let's do some writing. We had a group of 24, right?
Yeah.
So let's have 24. Then you have an arrow. I will write what I'm saying also. Put on the pen. The pen wants to write before me. My pen is writing before me. Okay, let me write with the other pen. So we have 24. Good? So out of 24, we have groups of trees. Agree?
Yeah.
8 times. So we're going to times 3 by 8. That is what we have?
Yes.
Groups of trees 8 times out of the entire group of 24. So we can say 3 is a factor of 24. But if 3 is a factor of 24, 8 times, what other number can you say using that same thing would be also a factor of 24?
The number 6.
What about 8? Because remember, we multiplied 3 multiplied by 8 and we got 24. Agree?
Yes.
Good. So 8 now, because 3 multiplied by 24, 3 multiplied by 8 to get 24, we can also say that 8 is a factor of 24. Agree?
Yes.
Good. Put 8s together. Make groups of 8. Great. How many 8s we have?
3.
3 8s. Right?
Yeah.
So 3 is a factor of 24 and 8 is a factor of 24. And it would have been seen by the fact is that we multiply 3 by 8 already. Great?
Yeah.
Good. So let's go. We just looked at the factor. Let's go to the multiple. Are you ready to go to the multiple first, or we would like to do another example of the factor?
You can go to the multiple.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the multiples. We are saying that put back in the group of trees. Great. So we're saying that 24 is a multiple of 3. Why? Because if we have these groups of trees here, right, which we have 8 groups, when we multiply as we did even before, we will get 3 multiplied by 8 will give us 24. So 24 becomes the multiple of 3. 3 in the groups would be the factor of 24, right? Because we can get groups of 3s 8 times from 24. Great?
Yeah.
And 24 is the multiple. We can say like 24 is the mother, right, of the 3s. Right? 24 is the mother of the 8, because we have groups of 3s that add up to 24, and we can also, as we had before, groups of 8 that add up to 24. Right? We're going to take it by doing some examples with them. Let's look at this one that we have here. We have 5 multiplied by 4 is equal to 20. So let's get 20 blocks quickly. So we had 24 blocks, so just take out 4. Take out 4, put it aside. Right, put it over this way. Great. So we want 5s. Put it into groups of 5s. Great. So how many 5s we have?
4.
4. So we have 5 multiplied by 4 would give us 20 in all. Right? If we put it together back, we will get 20. Good? So 5 multiplied by 4 would give us 20. So 5 was a factor, and also 4 is a factor. Do we agree?
Yes.
Great. And 20 would become what of those factors?
20 will become the what?
Mm-hmm.
The mother.
The multiple, the multiple of those factors, right? 20 would be the multiple, because as we would have grouped them into 5, and we came up with how many 5s?
4.
4 5s. Agree?
Yes.
Great. And that will be a total of 20, grouped into 4s. Great. How many 4s we have?
We have 5.
5 4s. So, despite we would have separated the groups of 5s, we group them into 4s. But still, all of the groups are equally distributed. Agree?
Yeah.
But how many in a group?
There. 4.
4 in a group. So we have 5 groups multiply by 4 and given us 20, which is our
Multiple.
multiple, right? So our factors create our multiples, and our multiples are made up of our factors. Think we understand?
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. Here, what we're going to do now. Take the die. Shake it up. Throw it. What we have?
4.
4. Great. Take 4 blocks. All right. So our factors, we just don't only have 2 sets of factors. We can have multiple factors in one setting. Right? Now, first of all, let's start with this. Aren't all the groups equal there? And what are the numbers in the groups?
Yeah.
How many in a group?
1.
1 in a group. How many times?
4. 9.
Good. So have 1 multiplied by 4. Write in your book. 1 multiplied by 4 equal to
4.
4. So what are the factors of 4 there?
Factors of 4 are 1.
1 and
4.
Yes, the 1 and the 4. Because when we multiply 1 by 4, we will get 4. So those are the factors. So we have two factors there, right?
Yeah.
Good. Group, make a next set of group equally for me.
Equal.
Mm-hmm. Great. So what are the groups?
The groups are groups of 2.
Groups of 2. How many times?
2 times.
So 2 multiplied by 2.
2.
Equal?
4.
Good. So is 2 a factor of 4?
Yes.
Yes, but we can't say 2 and 2, right? Because it's the same 2. So 2 is also a factor of 4. Could we have any other group equally? Check it and see. We had 1 4 times. We had 2 and 2. Could we have any other amount? Check. Would that be equal grouping?
No.
Any other thing?
Oh.
So isn't that a group?
Yeah.
Great. So 4, how many 4s we have?
4.
How many times?
4 times. No.
How many 4 does he have?
We have
4. How many times?
4 times.
We have 4 times there?
We have 1 4 times.
We have 1 4 times? Or we have 4 1 times? 1 time.
1 time.
We have 4 1 time. So 4 multiplied by 1.
4 multiplied by 1 will give you 4.
Great. But we have already established that 1 by 4 is 4. Now we have 4 by 1 because it's 4 only 1 time is also 4. So could we have factors? What are the list of factors for 4? What are the numbers?
1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4. Write it down. Factors of 4. One, 2. Great. So is 3 a factor of 4?
Yeah.
Is 3 a factor of 4? So let's take 3 and leave 1. Do we have equal grouping?
No.
No. All right, good. Throw the die again. Shake it well. Let's get a bigger number.
I got
Shake. No, you shake it. Great. What we have there?
6.
6. All right, let's work with 6. Take 6 blocks. Great. So let's do our separation. Separate them equally. Okay, so what do we have there?
We have groups of groups of 3 that are we have groups of 3
Groups of 3, how many times?
2 times.
2 times. So what do we have? 3 by 2. Agree?
Yeah.
So write that down. 3 multiplied by 2. Give you
6.
6. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get the next set of grouping. Great, what do we have?
We have groups of 2 that are formed 3 times.
3 times. So we have 2 by 3. Right? Now we would notice that the numbers would have repeated themselves,
Yeah.
but they were different groups. Right? Okay, let's go again.
A group of 1 that are formed.
A group of 1.
A group of 6
A group of 6.
that is formed 1 time.
Okay, so we have 6 by 1.
Yeah.
All right. A group of 6 that's formed one time. Any other grouping?
No.
Sure? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. What about the first one?
Yeah.
So there's a group of
6. 1.
1
That are formed 6
times. So we have a 1 by 6.
Yeah.
So what are the factors of 6?
The factors of 6 are 3, 2, 6, and 1.
Let's count in order.
1,
1, 2, 3,
and 6.
1, 2, 3, and 6. All right. So let me see if we can get a bigger number. Let's go. Let's increase our die. Total it up.
12.
12?
Yeah.
Okay, still a little. Take your 12.
Wait.
Great. Put them together. Good. So let's start assembling. Get our factors out of it. So what are we working there?
We have groups of 2 that are formed 6 times.
We have groups of 2 that are formed 6 times, right, Idan? So we have 2 multiplied by 6. Equivalent to
12.
any other combination?
Yeah.
Let's go. What we have there?
We have groups of 3 that are formed 4 times.
Groups of 3 that are formed 4 times,
Yeah.
right? Any other combination?
Yeah.
Okay, make your combination. And you would also notice that in our factors, there would only be a limited amount of factors per number, right? That means that it is finite. It stops at some point, right? Also, you would also observe that all our factors would include what number?
1.
1.
And itself.
Yes, 1 and itself. Great observation. So we have what we have there.
We have groups of 4 that are formed 3 times.
Groups of 4 that are formed 3 times. Right? So 4 threes.
12.
Great. Do we have any other group?
Yes.
Okay. Great. What would that be?
We have groups of 6 that are formed 2 times.
Great, right? Groups of 6 that are formed 2 times. So 6 twos.
6 2s 12.
Any other grouping?
Yeah.
What is it?
We have a group of 12 that is formed 1 time.
A group of 12 that is formed 1 time. Great. So our factors of 12 are 1, 2,
2,
3, 4,
6,
6,
12.
12. Our factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, right? So it's limited to that amount. You can't have any more, right? Can 5 go into 12 equally?
No.
No, because if we separate in 5s, we have 5, we have another 5, but then we have 2 remainder, right?
Yeah.
Great. But moving from the factors to the multiples, we can say that the multiples can go on limited. It can go on forever. It can be infinite. It can go on and on and on and on, right? So 2, we have 2. Good. What are the multiples of 2s?
Multiples of 2 are 1.
Can 2 go into 1? Can 1 be divided by 2? No. So your first multiple would be the first number, the multiple itself. Right? The number itself, I should say.
Yeah.
Good. So multiple of 2, first one is 2, because 2 can go into 2. And then, if we had another 2, 2 can go into
4.
4. And then 2 can go into
8. 6.
6. And if we add another 2, 2 can go into
8.
8.
10.
10. And we can keep going on and on and on. Right?
Yeah.
Because 2 can go into all those numbers. And if you notice, what are these numbers called?
They're called
This is
mult
2. This is
and
4.
multiples.
No. This is, we have 2, 4, 6. What are those numbers? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. What are those numbers called? What type of number?
They're called even.
Even numbers, right? So all the multiples of 2 would be even numbers. Great. So let's look at 3. First multiple of 3 is
The first 3.
3. Put another group of 3.
6.
6. Another.
9.
9.
12.
12. And we could go on and on.
Yeah.
Right? So the multiples of 3 would be 3,
6.
6,
9.
9,
12.
12,
15.
15, and it keep going on and on and on. Let's look at the multiple of 9. So I have 9 blocks. You have 9 there? Okay, take another 9. So, what number we would have in total if we put them together?
18.
18. And another 9.
27.
20.
7.
And another 9.
36.
Good. So we have 9, first multiple,
18.
18,
27.
27, and
36.
36. Because these numbers are all the numbers that can be divided by 9 equally. Right? We're there?
Yes.
Sure?
Yeah.
Sure. Alright, great. So, and as we said, multiples continue on and on and on to infinity. Right? The only way we will know where to stop is if we ask for the multiples between a certain number, or the multiples less than a certain number. If we want the multiples less than 100 for 10, then we're only looking for the numbers that fall between 10 to 100 that are the multiples, right? So we can't go to 200 and 300 and 400 because we're stopping at 100. So that's the only time we will be using a limited amount. Other than that, the multiples will go on and on forever. Any questions?
No.
You look like you want to ask a question. Sure?
I actually was gonna go ask about if there's any number that actually has somewhere it stopped, but then I remembered that that when you keep on multiplying, it can go to infinity.
Yes, it can go on and on. It will never stop. Right? It just gets bigger. Our calculators might not be able to hold the digits, but it can go on and on and on. It's like if you're counting sand, right? You might never finish counting the sand. Or some person might say you might never finish counting the rice. Right? So, let's recap some of the things. Speak to me.
Well,
Yes.
multiples are numbers that can be divided by they can be equally divided by other numbers.
By a certain number.
Yeah.
Okay, so the factors are the combination of numbers within the multiples, if you want to say that, right? And the multiples are made up of the factors. Agree?
Yeah.
So the factors are actually smaller than the original number that we are looking for. Good? And the multiple are also smaller. No, actually, the multiple are larger than the number given. So if you're given 5 and you want to find the multiples of 5, all the numbers will be higher than 5, greater than 5 times up, right? But if you want the factors of 5, all the numbers would be less than 5. Let's go close it off with that. What are the factors of 5?
1 and 5.
1 and 5. Anything else? Why not?
Because
Why can't we separate them into 2s?
there will be a remainder left.
Because there will be a remainder, right?
Yes.
So multiples versus factors, they are different. Agree?
Yeah.
So we can say the multiple is the mother of the factors. The factors are the children of the multiple. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right. So let's we wrap up and say thank you very much for this afternoon session. Do enjoy, and we'll see you next Thursday for math and English. Good afternoon. Good afternoon all.